In the Battle of Badr, where the Muslims were only 300, and the disbelievers, the enemies coming to annihilate them, were 1,000. Ali radiallahu anhu says, I looked among our soldiers and all I could see was one single horse. The Sahabi al-Miqdad was riding on it, no other horse. And the enemies had everything. Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, I saw the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam go and sit at a tree. And he started to make dua and lift his hands up, crying and saying, Oh Allah, Oh Allah, bring about what you have promised to me. Oh Allah, if this small band of Muslims is destroyed, you will not be worshipped on this earth. Oh Allah, give me what you have promised. He kept on calling to Allah and weeping and crying until his arms reached upwards, and for about hours, until Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu came along to him and he saw that the Prophet ﷺ's cloak had dropped off his shoulders, and Rasul ﷺ was shivering and crying, saying, if they're gone, there is no more ummah left. There is no more nation left. There is no more people left who will worship you, O Allah. And so Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu came along gently and lifted his cloak and placed it on the Prophet ﷺ's shoulders, and he hugged him from the back and said to him in his ear, Ya Rasulullah, kafak, take it easy on yourself. Take it easy on yourself, O Prophet of Allah. This prayer of yours to your Lord will suffice you, and He will fulfill for you what He has promised you. Innahu munjizun wa'da. And then Allah sent the verse down, when you appealed to your Lord for help, He responded to your call saying, I will help you, with 1,000 angels coming in succession. My brothers and sisters, Rasul ﷺ is calling to Allah and weeping and making dua for hours and hours to give him victory. And with us, we make dua for a minute or two over something that happened to us, something that's just really about ourselves. Somebody hurt us with a word and that's about it. And then we expect Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us everything and rain upon us the blessings as we want and as we wish. And if it doesn't happen, some of us, we complain and we think that Allah has betrayed us. And some of us even move away and says, where's the dua? I asked like what he said to ask, but you've only asked for a minute. Or maybe with your heart not really into it. Maybe there's no patience, and here is Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam for hours about to be possibly killed. And the entire ummah gone and perished, crying to Allah in his dua. So the dua to Allah, brothers and sisters, is to be from the heart, as much as we can, inshaAllah. Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam cried at the loss of children. There was a baby girl, which he was present at, and he saw her taking her last breaths and breathing heavily. So he carried her and brought her close and realized she's dying and put her near his chest. As he watched her, his tears began to drop from his eyes. The Sahabas looked at him and he said to him, Ya Rasulullah, you're crying at the decree of Allah, yani? You're crying? That's what they meant. They didn't say decree, but they said, you're crying when you told us not to cry? And he said to them, it is not the tears of rejection, it is the tears of mercy and compassion. Another time his grandson, he was only about a few months old, he was dying and he went to see him. He also carried him in his arms as he took his last breaths and he cried, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They said, Ya Rasulullah, you're crying? He said, they are not wailing, but tears of mercy and compassion. Yet at another time, the companion Sa'ad ibn Ubadah, he was also dying and he went to visit him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he found him unconscious. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam started to cry and they said, you're crying, Ya Rasulullah? He said, it is not wailing, but tears of compassion. For we are judged over what the tongue utters, not what the eyes tear. We're not judged over the tears that fall, but over the tongue, what we say with our tongue and what we believe.